hello everyone. Welcome to another brand new episode of 5 Lug Racing. With you as always, my name is Don, my partner in crime, Ryan, always doing his thing, kicking butt and taking names. We are here to break down Mexico City. What an interesting and fun weekend that it turned out to be. It turned out to actually be a really fun race for both Xfinity and Cup. We'll talk a little bit about that. We are headed to Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, this week. That's going to be another exciting race. Talk about two swings. You're going from a road course all the way to a 2.5. That's going to be crazy. We'll jump into that in a little bit. But, of course, I got to shout out our incredible, wonderful sponsor and partner, KK's Diecast community there on Facebook. We're going to leave all his information down in our description links. Go check out his page. This week, they're actually doing a how did he word it, Ryan? It's a helmet of the week, right? We're not doing a diecast of the week. It's actual replica helmets, autographed. Make sure you go jump on that link and check those out. He's got a ton of drivers to choose from, and that is a live silent auction going on right now. So as you're watching this, click on the link and check it out, man. It's going to be great. Ryan, talk to me, bud. What's going on?
Oh man, it's there's so much going on. I am so excited for this episode. I am so excited for what's to come. I do want to add there's 15 helmet options, like you said. Definitely want to check that out. And we have something really, really exciting that we can announce now for this upcoming week. Existing members and new ones are going to get a chance at a diecast giveaway. That's right. We're giving one away, folks. There are going to be 80 choices. 80 choices next week. The diecast of the week is going to be a huge contest that's going to piggyback off of our Pocono experience. And the cat's coming out of the bag, folks, because, yes, NASCAR is heading to the beautiful Pocono Mountains and the Tricky Triangle, but so are your boys from 5 Lug Racing. For the first time ever since Don and I have been doing this, we will be at a race, covering a race for the first time together. Don, I'm so excited to have you up here in my neck of the woods, and I am just looking really forward to it. But yeah, KK's Diecast community, we're going all out this upcoming week. There's going to be a graphic coming out with a promo code. Everybody is going to get one free entry. So there's no reason to not try to win a diecast. It's free. If you like your 80 options that you have to pick and choose from, and you're like, my one free entry may not be enough, well, there'll be an option for you to go out and purchase more in a silent auction style. But that's right. KK's Diecast community and 5 Lug Racing partnering up for a free diecast, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be next week's diecast of the week. And so, yeah, I definitely wanted to get that out there as well.
Absolutely. Great point. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're rolling with a guest today. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. So we're going all out. This Pocono Race Week is going to be absolutely amazing. So we thought we would bring back a return guest to the show, a dear friend of the show at 2311 Racing pit crew member for Riley Herbst, Fuelman Corey Coppola. How you doing, Corey?
Good. How are you fellas doing?
We're doing great, man. It's race week in Pocono Mountains, and we get to see you there. Get to have you back on the show, which is really exciting. We wanted to ask you a couple quick questions before we get into it. Obviously, you just got back from Mexico, south of the border, so you're back home, nestled back in, and locking back in for a new week. But I want to ask you on a transition week, like we just went from international to back stateside and kind of getting back into your routine. What type of things do you need to do, and what type of things does the team do to make sure the transition goes smoothly from Mexico to Pocono?
We're pit crew wise, we're really big into the recovery things. We did like a stretch and little foam roll deal today to make sure we're loose and not tight from being stuck and traveling all weekend and working till we'll focus back into doing pit stops the way that they've been done for a while now. It's like just normal, like left to right instead of backwards. But it's just gonna be good when we go back to practicing it, running through all the scenarios we'll hit and could possibly run into, from fuel to if it turns into a pit stop strategies. And we'll just focus on working out and making sure we're in the best shape we can be in for this upcoming weekend.
incredible. And that's really all you can do is just change that gear and lock back in. And that's what professionals do. That's why you guys get paid the big bucks. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see, you guys in action this weekend. And, I wanted to speak about those pit stops. So you go from a pit road that you pit backwards. And now you're going to one of the bigger pit boxes in NASCAR. I was going to ask you, how is Pocono Raceway in comparison to other tracks that you've been to as far as pit road is concerned? Do you feel like that's one of the better pit roads to operate in and do your job in?
I feel like yes, because there's a lot more space, so the cars can get more squared up and make our jobs a little simpler. But for me as a fueler, it's kind of a little different because the box is longer, so there's more opportunities to stop more forward or more to the rear, depending on what your pit box scenario is. Like if you're coming around people, you have to stop short for people coming around you. So I mean, for me, I like it. There's a lot of space. There's more opportunity to do your job, and this is one of the tracks as a fueler. We're actually really important because it's in history been a fuel mileage race, and we get to show off why we're the best at what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that little bit extra matters. I mean, if you could walk us through for the layman that may not be following, and I know we've had you on the show and other fuelers as well, but I just kind of want to rehash on this. When you go to, because we've seen, and I'm sorry, my thoughts are all over the place, but we've seen earlier in the year, cars just not get enough in, or the connection where, the fuel can mates with the vehicle, and gets filled up. If it's not there all the way, you may end up short. So can you walk us through what exactly you're looking for when you get over that wall with your can?
Okay, so when I get over the wall and I plug in, I'm looking we have lines on our cans that'll show us that we're fully engaged. I'm checking that. I'm watching the tubes to make sure there's no, we call it wet ventings, when the fuel is shooting up into the vent hose and you can see it, which slows down our flow rates. And then towards the end of the stop, I'm looking for that tube to be solid green. That means we're packed full of fuel. I can't get any more in it. It's as full as it's going to be. So those are the three things that I'm looking for off rip, to make sure the car's packed, to make sure that I've given the engineers and the crew chief and the driver everything I can give them. So when they come to a strategy, it's going to give them what they need to finish the race.
And that's incredible. And for those who don't know at home, when he's talking about he's looking for green, that's the color or the tint that is in the Sunoco Racing fuel that we're using. So that's why he referenced that. I want to mention 400 laps around Pocono is a very, very long race, and like you said, you're going to need a lot of gas to do it. So you're practically looking at every time you touch a race car with fuel can, you're going with the 2-can stop in most cases, correct?
Correct. Most cases, yes. And there will be different strategy calls if we short fuel it and just get as much as we can get in it, or do you take the time and wait and make sure you pack it after every stop? So there's going to be a lot of strategies, and our engineers will dial that up. They'll send it to me, let me know what I need to put in it, and then I'll give them what they need.
Awesome. And
I'd love to bring up for a second, Corey, you came from Xfinity last year up to Cup this year in the 35 of 2311 and Riley Herbst. Can you talk about any major differences between Xfinity and Cup, or was it a pretty smooth transition, or was it difficult at first?
I would say when I first started my career, I was doing both. I was doing all 3 series, Truck, Xfinity, and Cup, and we were all using 12-gallon cans. So it was It's a little different because trucks are really low to the ground. And you have to get you can see it in the fuelers, like they're almost hitting split stances to get low enough to engage the car on the left side. Well, then Xfinity was a different animal because it's a little more up and it's higher. So when you're engaging it, it's at a different angle and you're more on your tippy toes trying to plug it and trying to be sure you're engaged. And you're not as strong when you have to get on your tippy toes. And then Cup was at a 45, a similar degree angle plugging. And now it's more flat. So now I was going from that angle to a flat angle, and then they switched to the 9-gallon cans in Xfinity, and that's just you hold the can a completely different way. you'd have to hold it more off your shoulder and above your waist. And then when you plugged it, you'd have to literally on the left side shove it like you're over exaggerate plugging it forward just to make sure that you're in there. And it was a different animal, but it was always fun. Like going from Xfinity to Cup last year and the races this year, I'm doing the Sunday only thing. So it's not as mind boggling, but the first plug was always interesting because you're like holding the can. You're like, okay, am I holding in the right place? Am I going to hit this car at the right angle? Am I going to engage fully and not cross and not wet vent? And it was fun and entertaining, but it's a good thing this year to only have to be focused on one series and one way to plug and one way to do my exchanges and get to the car.
Absolutely. Love
now,
it.
Corey, when you start off a race, you're not the one fueling the car when it goes out to the grid. Can you explain that process? Is that just a typical, they line them up and go fill them through the trunk?
No. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and teams vary from organization to organization. We use the cans that I use in the race for practice, for qualifying, for final checks, and we use those cans and plug it. Some people have like little, we call them trucker cans. They're like 6-7 gallon cans, and they can plug them easier. But for us, we use actual race cans, and I am the one at final check who actually plugs the car to get it full. But a lot of other organizations will have just one of the road crew guys who's been there all weekend working, fill it up before the race, and we'll pack it full of fuel before the race, and then we won't see it again until it comes into a live pit stop.
That's awesome.
Now, one thing
I was just going to say, that's awesome insight because like not everybody gets to see that, and that's that's some great insight. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Absolutely. And one more thing I was curious about, I've noticed before pre-race, before they run the cars up to the grid or pit road, there's an actual metal canister or cap that I've seen go onto the race car.
That's to keep fuel from running down the side of the car. And when we pack it full, it'll sometimes shoot out of the car side, and they don't want to have fuel leaking everywhere, all down the side. Get it on get it like all over the track and all over the car. So they put that on it to cap it and keep the fuel from leaking down the side and onto the racing surface.
Right on.
Awesome stuff and awesome insight for those who may not know. I mean, we see all these little gadgets and, these inventions that were made just for race cars, those are the little reasons why, they all have their purpose. So, we wanted to talk about, going into Pocono Raceway. You go from, a track that we've never seen before on the Cup side of things with Mexico City, which played out being a really fun race. And, we got to give our hats off to Shane Van Gisbergen because that guy can absolutely wheel these cars around any road course we throw at him. And for him to win the inaugural Chicago race and then go on to win the inaugural Mexico City race is just absolutely insane. The last time this was done was before, 2 inaugural events, first 2 career wins by the same driver was before my lifetime. And we may not see that again for another lifetime. I mean, that's just insane stuff for him. And then, Daniel Suarez, the hometown hero to win on Saturday, just really beautiful stuff there. But, we go from, the unknown of Mexico City to a track you've seen a handful of times. I believe you had mentioned that this would be about the 6th time you're getting to see this track. Pocono Raceway has the moniker, the Tricky Triangle. What, in your opinion, Corey, makes Pocono so tricky, not only for the drivers, but for the crew members maybe as well?
For the crew members, it makes it tricky because it all comes down to like the strategy. Like we all want to go out there, we want to lay down the fast stops and do it normal, but then it comes into it like I would go slow down a stop when the guys could be really fast for me to pack it full of fuel because like for those that don't know, the sport, like our cars right now, our pit stops outmaneuver fuel cans. So you have to, that's when strategy comes into it. You have to make the call. Your crew chiefs can make a call and be like, hey, we have to pack it full of fuel here to make it. We're just going to eat the spots on this stop. Or they give you the freedom of like, hey, get what you can get and we'll hope a caution falls late and it works in our favor. But from the driver's point, I believe it makes it tricky because it's turn one, going into turn one is completely it's completely different than going into two, which is also completely different than going into three, and then dialing it back to one and having to remember how you take one every time to get set up for two, which sets you up for three. And just to do that for 400 miles is incredibly difficult because most tracks, once you get your rhythm down, 1 and 2 leads you to 3 and 4, and it's just rinse and repeat. Here, you're doing 3 different turns, and it's not always rinse and repeat because you got to come in 3 different ways with 3 different looks you're getting.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things I love about Pocono Raceway. It is truly one of the last standing unique gems that we have as far as oval tracks are concerned in NASCAR racing, and really just circuit racing in general, as far as oval races that are go on active tracks. There's really not anything like Pocono Raceway. You got 3 super long straightaways and 3 unique different turns. Recently spoke with Ross Chastain, and he even said it's like 6 turns. Because each turn you could almost cut in half, and it's just amazing to see those guys, maneuver this place, like you said, for 400 miles, and they used to do it for 5, which is even more insane if you ask me. But like also the shifting points and all those, different nuances that go into it as a driver is like, where do we shift? Are we going to shift? Are we not going to shift? Those different things play into it. And then of course, SMT data comes in from all the different teams, and then the notes come together and it's like, okay, I think this is how we're going to have to set things up. But it is definitely a unique track to get around. And it's one of the things that make me just love it for the sake of the speed they carry and go into these wild turns because all of them are different, like you said.
Yeah. Absolutely, Ryan and Corey. Real quick, you'd mentioned the pit stops are beating the fuel now, and what I find interesting about that is if you look at other aspects of racing, let's go to Formula One and even IndyCar for a second. These guys are getting in and off a pit road so fast, but they also don't have to worry about the jackman aspect, right? They got the hydraulics that lifts the car up. You got 4 tire changers all doing their thing at the exact same time. It makes sense, right? With NASCAR, you got 5 guys, and they got to do all the work. And it takes a little bit longer, but the elite level that you guys are doing this, I mean, it's not the same as F1, but comparatively speaking, for what you guys are doing compared to the amount of people on the F1 side is absolutely phenomenal. So hats off to you, all your teammates for the incredible work you guys do.
Yeah, I would say it's like, I love it because it's so chaotic. It's the way we view pit stops. It's 5 individuals performing like a dance. And we're all doing different steps, and it all meshes together for the perfect brewing of chaos and perfection. It all comes out when it's all perfectly placed together. You can see the fast pit stops, and it's what makes it great because it's 5 people doing 5 different things, and it all comes together for one perfect picture.
Absolutely.
It's like you got to tango together, it takes a team in unison. It's like synchronized swimming, but at high speeds.
It's at chaotic speeds.
Right. Yes. And I wanted to, piggyback off of what Don just said about, the pit stop beating the fuel a little bit. In consideration of a track like this, you're not the only team, at least on pit road, that is going to have to, at one point in this race, take that longer fuel stop. But, we've seen the sub 10-second pit stops like cakework and, in this industry with you guys, with everything that's going on. So when you have to make sure that you're packing at fuel, what do you think is an acceptable time to get the 2 cans in, along with everything else that's going on out there?
That depends on the amount of fuel you're waiting on. Like a track like this, if we run it dry, 20 gallons, it's going to be like over a 12-second stop because I have to be engaged for a 5-second period of time on the first can. And then I have to do a 2-second shuttle and then be engaged for about 5 seconds on the second can. Because the cars now, back in the day, they only were 18 gallons. We had 2 12-gallon cans. And now the cars can hold 20 gallons in the tank, and you can get a little more than that but when you count fuel hose in. and our cans, we only have 24 gallons. And so to be sure to pack the car, you have to be plugged in for a set amount of time to have enough in the second can to pack it full and be sure you're seeing green and you can send the car. Because if you short the first can, the second can will pretty much dump empty and it won't come up in the tube and show you that you're packed. So realistically, you could be half a gallon to a gallon short, which in the long term can cause you to be run out of fuel with 3 to go or not make a green-white checker if it comes down to that.
And not for nothing, for those new listeners, those new watchers that are joining us, we saw what can happen when not all the fuel gets into one of these cars. Not even a month and a half ago with Denny Hamlin, I believe it was at Texas, the fuel man wasn't able to engage the car well enough, and you just see fuel pouring out all over the side of the car and not getting inside the tank, ended up costing Denny Hamlin a chance at that win. So it's important. Whether you think so or not, it is important to get every last drop into that race car.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I would have to imagine that when you do get that longer fuel dump into the car, that also opens up the team the ability to maybe make a chassis adjustment because they have that extra second if somebody else has a free hand, or service the driver and get them a water bottle or get them an ice pack if they need it, and get a window tear off. All those things that factor in that you may not do if you know you need to get off pit road in 8 seconds versus 12. So, it's wild what you guys have to juggle and how quickly you may have to juggle it too, because I know those strategies can change on the drop of a dime. So, it's hats off to the people on top of that box and then the people jumping over the wall like yourself. It's wild. And the communication you all have to have is just top notch. So, hats off to you. We go into what is going to be an incredible action-packed, Great American Getaway at Pocono Raceway, 400 miles. We have all three series on the track this weekend. So Friday we'll have the Craftsman Truck Series. We got the Xfinity Series on Saturday, and then the Cup guys wrap it up on Sunday. And Don and I, as we spill the beans, we're going to be there to cover it all. We get to see guys like Corey. We'll catch up with you at track for sure. But we also get to do some fun things. So I want to take a moment to plug another sponsor who's going to come on this week. And we want to welcome a local sponsor in Pennsylvania, the Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. And Lehigh Valley Grand Prix is also a company that owns Hangdog and Hangdog Brewery, which is an awesome outdoor adventure place for young kids to go to. Not the brewery part, but Hangdog is really fun. But when we jump back onto the racing side of things, what better way to start off a weekend of racing than to go burn laps at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix? And that's exactly what Don and I are going to get to do on Thursday night this week. We're going to take the cameras there. We're going to document the fun and show you what indoor karting in the Lehigh Valley is all about. It is a very fast track. There are, as far as the karting opportunities that are in this area, and even in a big circumference, by far the fastest at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. So if you're looking for speed, they have it. They also have axe throwing. They got great food. They got great beverage. It's just really a great time. For kids and adults. And oh, by the way, Don, they have new karts that they just rolled out this weekend for the adults. So I can't wait to go break those things in and see who's going to turn off some. We're going to have to post our sheets, man. I know the listeners and the followers are they're going to want to know who got around this place the quickest, and it's going to be me, but it's okay, Don. It's okay.
I wouldn't give a second to anybody else, bud.
I'm kidding, man. And I'll tell you what, you would say home track advantage, but it's been a while since I've gotten to partake there because of personal injury that I had to go through and recover from. I wasn't able to wheel one of these things for a while. But I'm so looking forward to it. I know we already talked, with them about, next year's possibility of getting guys like Corey to come up early. We really can have some NASCAR fun at a great karting track like the Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. So everybody that's listening, following along, and if you're heading up to Pocono Race weekend, we're also going to do something a little special. So if you're from the area, you're going to have a chance to win a gift card for the Lehigh Valley Grand Prix, courtesy of Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. It's just going to be really, really a lot of fun. What a great way to kick it off. We got all these giveaways coming up. It's just really special. KK's diecast community coming in, giving away diecast. We're going to give away hot laps at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix. It's just awesome. I can't wait to go against you and, the others and chat with race fans and, see what they're looking forward to with Pocono Race weekend coming up here. And, it's certainly going to be special. Corey, I wish you could have joined us if we would have planned ahead. But hopefully next year we can get you up here early for it. And, I'm looking forward to Lehigh Valley Grand Prix Thursday night before we head up on the Pocono on Friday. We got to talk about the Truck Series a little bit. We do have a Cup star in the Truck Series field this week at Pocono. I want to talk about last year because last year's race, Corey Heim was rocket. Just absolutely had the number for this field with his 11 Tricon Toyota. I expect him to be extremely fast again here this weekend. And, though he's going to have to contend with Aspire Motorsports truck of Carson Hocevar, who's going to be, he's on the entry list. He's going to be ripping around and logging some hot laps himself Friday night for sure at Pocono. And I say Friday night, this race will end closer to the evening hours, but they do not have lights at Pocono. So it is a day race technically. But Corey Heim coming in here with a dominant lead, 133 points lead in the regular season championship quest. The playoff points are definitely stacking up there for him. Him and Chandler Smith both have been extremely fast this year. I expect to see second place Chandler to have a great weekend as well. Those Front Row Motorsports trucks have been really fast. Him and his teammate Lane Riggs. You got a Nice Motorsports guy, Caden Honeycutt. Somebody coming in here. This track just suits him as well. It's one of those unique tracks where I feel like his Chevy's going to get around here and definitely a strong running for Caden. So if you're in the Lehigh Valley or you're in the area and there are tickets still available for Friday night's race, Pocono Raceway, get your booties out here. Come on out and support, not only, the Cup Series on Sunday, but these other support series like the Craftsman Truck Series. Some of the best racing NASCAR's been putting on, and they're just so fun to watch. The things that they can do with their trucks that, not necessarily with the bodies on the Xfinity and the Cup cars, make it really exciting to watch. And then, oh, by the way, we have to talk about the Xfinity Series. Corey, you were in the Xfinity Series last year here at Pocono Raceway. Your teammates in the Xfinity Series last year punched their ticket to the playoffs at Pocono Raceway, and the 00 team, they went to victory lane here last year. You guys had a pretty solid piece as well in the 98 for Riley Herbst, place that we know Riley can get around, in the Xfinity Series. How do you feel like that's going to translate for you guys in the Cup car this year with Riley taking that transition from, at least having live seat time here at this track and being able to take that into Sunday this year?
I feel like his confidence will be up there. He's been here. He knows what it takes to run good here. He knows how to get through all the turns and where to brake. So I feel like his confidence will be high, and I feel like we're going to feel pretty good about him come Sunday morning when we see practice and qualifying. But we have all the confidence in the world in him. He has all the confidence in the world in us, and we're just on the learning curve right now. And when he gets used to this new model car, I feel like Riley's going to be really strong to compete with and be a contender in the sport.
Yeah, well said, because, a lot of people, can seem to forget that it's so hard to be competitive in these sports to begin with, first of all. So to have him be here, speaks volumes of his talent and ability. He's shown something to get these, opportunities and to get the opportunity to pilot that 35 Monster Energy machine around here, on a weekly basis is truly special. And, Riley, last year, you guys, your last race as a team, you go out and you win Phoenix. And that had to be absolutely so special for, you missed being out in the championship for which, kind of has to be a bummer knowing how good of a piece you had for him at, when it came to go time at, winning the championship race. But, you guys put it all out there. You went for it. Your teammates came up just short of winning a championship themselves, going back to back, with Cole Custer and the 00 team. And then now you transplant over here into the Cup Series. And for everybody that doesn't realize all the nuances that go into this, being a rookie in this series is extremely hard. Shane Van Gisbergen has some experience in these cars on road courses, but he's still a rookie. He's still learning, and he's coming from deeper in the standings into the postseason this year, by winning in. We have to touch base on this, Don, for a second. We put a graphic out earlier because Richard Petty, the king, has spoken, and he pretty much in his quote said that NASCAR needed to look at this because, he doesn't feel that when you're 30th in points and you go out and win a race, that you should go into the postseason. And then he also does, and in the same paragraph, also said that NASCAR isn't road course racing. And so, I mean, we kind of got two different angles of it, and saying that you're putting road courses into a championship format, which it's not in the Final Four. There's no road races in the Final Four. There is one road race in the entire postseason this year. But, we promised our listeners and viewers that we would weigh in with our take. Corey, I know you may have to set this out a little bit, but we'll be quick. I'll go first. First of all, Richard, you raced Sonoma and you raced Watkins Glen your entire career. So road racing was always a part of NASCAR. And NASCAR is stock car auto racing. Okay? That's all NASCAR is. It's not the track we go to. And, I feel like this new car in particular definitely sets up well to run road races. And that's why we've seen the opportunity to run more of them. I also think that road races, because of the demographics of where they're at in this country and in others, have allowed the sport the opportunity to grow. And when we see things at the end of races, like we saw in Mexico City, and I know that there's the pros, there's the cons, there's the logistics and all the stuff that went into that race. And we don't have to dive deep into it. We know. And Corey, obviously we know, and you just lived it. But to see those moments at the end of that race when the fans get to come onto pit road or the fans get to be around these drivers, Corey, I think you need to speak on this because you mentioned it, what that looked like from your point of view, because it's something we haven't seen in a long time. So go ahead.
So I know from the Saturday race, the guys that actually did the double headers that did both series, they said when Suarez took the lead, he said when the fans erupted, it was louder than the cars going around the racetrack. So that's just a phenomenal. We haven't heard cheering like that in a while, but for me personally, experiencing post-race was walking out of the Mexico City track through all the fans, fist bumping, cheer you on, welcome you to Mexico, screaming, having a time. It was just great to see, and it felt electric. It felt like the sport back in the 90s and early 2000s. So it was just a great feeling and wonderful thing to see. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining, leaving, fist bumping people, them trying to get your hat, trying to get your team shirt, just trying to get something to show their time there was great to see. And it was very energetic, and you just had to see it to understand how it felt, but it was a great feeling, and it was amazing to see and fun to walk through that crowd. It was wild. Just had to push your way through, and it was entertaining.
That's,
which is going to be a little easier for you, Corey. You're a bigger fella, so it's probably a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, I led the way for some teammates. I said, just follow me. I'll get us through here.
But hearing that, and I've seen some clips that have started to surface from this, and seeing it, it got me a little bit in the feels because, and hearing you say that too, because first of all, it didn't matter if you were a driver or a crew member. They treated you because it's a team sport. And, Don, we drive that home all the time, how much this is a team sport. Yes, the drivers are going to get their glory, but you guys deserve it too. For the fact that you guys were treated like the celebrity you should be, and the fact of you're playing on a major league team. yeah, you're not the one wheeling it around, but if you don't get that fuel in there, he can't wheel it around to the finish line, or she, and just that whole aspect of it is just beautiful to hear. It's beautiful to see, and it's why they went there. Now, to finish my take, Richard talks about road racing not being part of NASCAR. I disagree with that, and that's my opinion. As far as the winning in, and Corey, I know you can't wait here, but Don and I can, so we're gonna. We're not team affiliated, so here we go. The winning in format, I can understand where people may have some feelings about a 30th place team, or a team lower in the point standings, going out there, finding everything, putting their eggs in one basket, like we've seen in the past, because it just hasn't happened with Shane this weekend. We've seen it at Richmond last year with Austin Dillon, and because of the shenanigans on how he got his win, he got his playoff eligibility stripped from him. But they still went out and won a race. So, and they still had a car very fast. He was extremely good, so that was a race-winning car. He just needed shenanigans at the end to get it there, because of how it played out at the end. But if that late race caution didn't come out, none of that happens, and he's in the postseason. And he does it from deep in the standings. And then you also have had other drivers that have been able to do the same thing, like Ricky Stenhouse and so on and so forth, where, the plate races, right? And I say plate race still, but, it's, tapered spacer. I know. Okay, fans, give me a break. But I'm old school sometimes. Those drafting tracks, though, they're the ultimate wild card. Corey, you guys could go out and win Daytona just as easily as Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell or anybody else out there in that field. And it's a great equalizer track, right? And that's part of the sport. And that's the rule package that NASCAR gave us, is winning in, unless there's more than 16 winners. And the way it sets up this year, there's not going to be. I find it very, very hard pressed with the amount of races that we have left that we get to 16 winners. So unless something changes, nothing's going to change. And we have to accept the rules that the sanctioning body gives us and play by the rules. That's just it. And it makes excitement for the sport. And also, by the way, it costs millions of dollars for sponsors to be on these race cars. And if part of the enticement to get them to be a part of our sport, to help our sport grow and flourish like it's been doing, is to give a win and in possibility, then so be it. I'm here for it. It is what it is. But, you could put qualifiers or in there and say, got to at least maintain top 25 in points. You could do all those little things, but, I don't control the sanctioning body. We got to just play by the rules. Those are my takes on it. And Don, you could weigh in with yours.
Yeah, it's really well said, Ryan. And obviously, we've seen all the comments over the last few years, with this win and in situation, drivers that maybe not necessarily that are having the greatest season get themselves a playoff spot, and then 3 races later, they're right back where they were before the playoffs started, and they're out of the playoffs again, right? So it's a tough thing for NASCAR to piece together. You could easily just say top 16 in points. Make the playoffs, whether you won or not. If you're not in the top 16, you don't get a playoff spot, right? It could go that way. We've seen guys like Harrison Burton, 33rd in points last year at Daytona before the playoffs start, and he goes out there, beats Kyle Busch for the night race at Daytona International Speedway, locks himself into the playoffs. We saw Austin Cindric last year. I believe it was at Gateway, had his teammate. Now, in Austin Cindric's
defense,
to side Austin, right? He was running second consistently at the end of that race. He didn't luck into a win. His teammate ran out of gas and he got the win. We've seen it 100 times in this sport. So, that happens. Austin Cindric gets his playoff spot. With Shane Van Gisbergen, look, you want to talk about a perspective angle. There are teams that battle their hearts out all year long, right? All year long, don't have much to show for it. They battle, and they happen into a win that, whether like Austin Dillon did last year, earned it, had a dominating car, or kind of benefited from other cars being out of the race like Harrison Burton and getting a playoff spot that way. Fans of those teams that don't think that they have a shot at the playoffs. They're just watching their guy turn laps and make it to the end of the season. Now they have an exciting round of 16 and a possible round of 12 and who knows, something after that. I think that's really cool for the fans to have their driver have that opportunity into the playoffs. Now, there's no right answer here. Richard Petty is going to have his opinion on the subject. Corey's going to have his opinion. Ryan's going to have his opinion. Everybody else there's 10 million opinions coming in from all different directions. But like Ryan said, NASCAR made the rules the way they are. As it stands, if you win a NASCAR race, you are locked into the playoffs, pending if more drivers make a win happen than there are playoff spots, which, like he said, I don't think we're going to see happen this year. I think we're down to 9 races left in the regular season. I think we have 10 winners so far this year. Is it 9 or 10? So the odds are it's not going to get to that point. But what happens is you're taking guys like your Chase Briscoes who are having consistent seasons, your Tyler Reddicks who doesn't have a win, your Bubba Wallace who doesn't have a win, guys like that who have had very, very good, consistent seasons, potentially being bumped out of the playoffs when they've had a statistically way better season than some of these one-off winners, your Shane Van Gisbergens, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's not a perfect system. Very rarely are you going to find a perfect system in situations like this. We just got to kind of take it for what it is. That's the rules they gave us for NASCAR. Our hands are tied, right? So it is what it is. That's gonna kind of be my opinion on it.
Yeah, and that's just it. And to get some of the fan takes, one of our followers and listeners, Seth Waldrop. I'm going to drop a name drop. Seth, thank you for giving your feedback on our social media page. He gave us a tidbit and says, I understand my take will probably be an unpopular opinion compared to the most NASCAR fans, but because I'm a fan of left and right turns. But I think road course races are absolutely as much NASCAR as any other race. No disrespect to the king at all, but the sport has evolved as it should, and a lot since he was in the driver's seat. At the end of the day, it's a race testing driver ability, testing crew strategy, testing pit efficiency and effectiveness, testing car capability, and I think that is the core of it. It's all racing. And then he goes on to say about how certain drivers will be favored at road courses as opposed to ovals, where you'll have certain drivers who are better at super speedways versus 1.5-mile tracks and short tracks, so on and so forth. And his take is absolutely valid too. And not for nothing, but Corey, you come from the realm of football, American football. And for those who don't know, Corey has been a guest of ours before, where he shares his big backstory. Please go back and listen to that one. We'll post a link for it as well. You could get to learn more about Corey. But Corey, you were a football player. We've seen in the sport of football, which I love as well, and I coached it. There have been teams that get in as a wild card and maybe don't deserve to be there as compared to other teams sometimes, where based off how the regular season went. But we've seen wild card teams go on to win Super Bowls, and that's the sport that NASCAR gave us now. They gave us that flavor where everybody's got a chance as long as you find a way to into the dance, right? And that's just what it is. So moving on, Corey, I know that you can't weigh in too much, but I know that football analogy might hit home with you a little bit. And just those that listening at home and watching at home, that's part of what makes it marketable too. The playoffs are intense and they dials up the wick, and it's fun. And Corey, you've got to be in it in the Xfinity series. You've got to be in it last year in the Cup series with your win at Darlington with Chase Briscoe, finding your way in. And, what the playoffs are like. Played in them in football. You've played in it and as far as being a part of a race team, there's nothing like it. And the wick gets dialed up, and it's exciting to be a part of. I'm sure it's got to be game changing for you guys. Like I don't know what those meetings are like going into a playoff race week, but I can only imagine that it's like, guys, we got to bring it, and it's
wild going into playoffs because you will have your Cinderella stories the ones who people think they shouldn't be there, they're going to be there. They're the ones that are going all out, and they're like, hey, if we got to win again, we're going to try it again. They're going all out. Then you got your ones who are like, hey, we're kind of close. Let's point race. And then the strategy comes in, and it's more focused, and there's different angles that people approach to get into the playoffs once you're there, and the focus ramps up. Our energy ramps up. The fans love it. The drivers are more into it because once you get in the playoffs, they're moving each other. They're racing hard because they're trying to make it to the next round. So it's just straight chaotic energy. It's awesome, and you're just running on adrenaline for the length that you get to make it through the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why we do it, and that's why NASCAR does it. And you know, whether we like it or not, and everybody's going to have their disagreements, you know, where we're all going to agree to disagree at some points in life or in sports or whatever. But, you know, not for nothing, if NASCAR made a little fine tweaks to the playoff format, I'm okay with it. You know, I'll accept it for what it is. I know that they're finally changing the location of the championship race next season, you know, so it's just not stale bread, so to speak, going to the same track every weekend or every year, I should say. You know, and that's good. That's a welcome change. And I think a lot of race fans, I know analysts, I know the race teams all welcome those changes, and it's exciting for that aspect of keeping that unknown, those unpredictables. I mean, the Super Bowl's not played in the same stadium every year. The World Series isn't in the same stadiums every year. Why should the NASCAR championship be in the same place every year? You know, that's just my thought on it.
And kudos to NASCAR for making that adjustment. I think it's really important for the sport as far as its growth and its movement forward, right? Like, we're not looking back. We're that's not the direction we're going. We're looking forward. And if you have the opportunity to make the product better, make the product better. They've got the opportunity and they did something about it. So I definitely hats off to NASCAR for making that adjustment.
Absolutely. And Corey, you know, I know we're cutting it close on time here, and I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your week, especially after all the travel that you had to do last week, to come join us this evening and help us start off our Pocono Race Week. I look forward to catching up with you at the track, you know, we got some things cooking for all you viewers and followers of Five Lug Racing and the new ones that we're going to hopefully make in the next coming weeks with all the fun stuff that we've got planned. And I thank you in advance for being a part of that and, you know, helping us out and getting, getting this started off right, you know, and then we're going racing ourselves. And then, you know, we'll get to the racetrack Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I can't believe it because, you know, we're going to blink and it's going to be over, but it's going to be so fun. 400 miles though at Pocono Raceway on Sunday. I know we're going to be making a cameo at one of your sponsors. Monster Energy puts on a heck of an infield party all weekend long between Monster and Beast, one of their other brands. So again, if you're headed out to Pocono Raceway and you're in the infield, you're in for a heck of a party because they got live music, DJs, comedians, fireworks, all the stuff. You know, Pocono is bringing it. It's why they sell out every single year. The infield guys and gals who are camping out there, hats off and kudos to you guys for buying up those spots. Pocono Raceway, thank you for putting on an amazing event. I'll thank them ahead of time. They were great to us with helping us, get in and hanging in with Ross Chastain at the Sunset Hill Shooting Range. That was so fun. And I just look forward to a fun race weekend. And Corey, thank you again for being a part of this show and sharing some of your insight and perspectives. You know, it's just great when we get to give that content to the race fans at home. And I really thank you a lot for that.
I appreciate y'all having me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you boys this weekend together for the first time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to introduce some of the new teammates too.
Yeah, that's going to be great, and you know, hopefully some future guests onto the show. Everybody gets to share their story. That's one of the beautiful things about the platform we offer is making sure that everybody has a home to share their journey in motorsports. And I know you got to do it, and it's really fun to get to share those stories. So again, thank you. We can't thank you enough. We hope you have a wonderful experience in Pocono, and best of luck at the track. We look forward to seeing you there.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Take care.
Can't wait, Corey. Thank you so much. We'll see you
Sounds
this weekend, bud. Ryan, I know we like to do our picks to close these things out, bud. We got a dark horse. We got a main pick for this Pocono 400-mile race. Talk to me, bud.
Yes,
What you
sir.
got?
So we're going to hammer out our picks super fast because we're cutting it close on time. But I am going to go with a guy who has a really good average finish here, just seemingly as a place that not only can he get around, but he's also found a way to lead laps at this joint. In the last three starts here, he has an average finish of 10.7. My dark horse is coming from the 43 car of Legacy Motorsports, Eric Jones. And I just really think that Eric is going to have a solid run here this weekend. And who knows, maybe he finds a way to punch his ticket to the postseason this weekend, with a trip to victory lane. Putting the 43 there at Pocono Raceway would be an insane story. So that would be really neat to see. Who you got for your dark horse?
Real quick, what a great pick, because not only is Eric Jones showing a lot of potential, both of those cars, the 42 and the 43, are trending in the right direction, and it's really cool to see that third Toyota team start finding their way, right? Finding their niche, finding exactly what they can do, what they can't do, and utilizing it to the best of their advantage. Excellent pick. I absolutely love it. And I also really, really like this approach that we're taking, choosing a dark horse below the bottom 16 and then choosing our main pick above the 16 in points. I think that that really shook it up a little bit, as we were almost picking two favorites every week, right? So, but as far as my dark horse goes, no stranger to winning races and winning a championship in this sport, but finds himself still just desperately struggling to find any sort of consistency this year. And that goes along for his teammates, at all of them at RFK. But Brad Keselowski in particular, finding himself this far deep into the points is insane. He sits 32nd right now, guys. That's not something we're used to out of Brad Keselowski in a race car. He's usually up front. He's usually rattling cages and ruffling feathers. But this year, he's shown some speed. I don't understand why these three RFK guys cannot just put together a good string of either good luck or just consistent finishes, whether it be penalties, whether it be pit road stuff, whether it be accidents. They are finding a way to lose in all the wrong ways. And I just hope they find a way to turn it around, because Chris and Brad and even Ryan Preece, man, they would be a lot of fun to watch in the playoffs. So go ahead and give me that 6 car, the Ford Mustang dark horse from RFK, Brad Keselowski.
All right, and now I'm going to give you my favorite for the race week, and at Pocono Raceway, a car number that is no strangers to success here at Pocono Raceway. And I'm just going to rattle this off for you, because neither is this driver. Going into the storylines this weekend, this driver has not won at Pocono Raceway. He's yet to figure out the tricky triangle, but he does own the best all-time finishing average finish among active drivers with at least 2 starts and 11 career starts here. He has an average finish position of 9.4. He has 6 top 10 finishes, including 3 among top 5, with a best of 3rd in 2021. The car number, it's definitely gone to victory lane here many a times. And, this driver has been the model of consistency this year. Like, the absolute insane model of consistency. Just can't seem to figure out how to close these races, except for the Daytona 500. And yes, that's right, I picked the 24 and William Byron to win here. I think he's going to be super strong, as he's been everywhere. I mean, when it comes to these style races, this style track, I definitely believe that Byron and Rudy Fugle are going to be in the mix at the end of the day. Will strategy bite them like it has earlier this season at a couple of tracks? Maybe. Will they finally get over that hump and punch another win in their column this season? Quite possibly. I don't think that we finished this season with William Byron only winning 1 race this year. I just don't. So, why not Pocono Raceway? Why not the 24 car? Give me Byron in victory lane this Sunday.
Can't argue the numbers, can't argue the facts, my friend. You said it perfectly. We're going to run into a bit of a strategy opportunity here at Pocono, with this being a 2.5-mile racetrack. Fuel is going to play a factor. All right, I'm going to give you all my main pick, and I'm going to go off of that same aspect too. Who's one of the best teams out there that sits and just sets their hat on strategy for races, and it's almost always the 2, the 12, and the 22 out of that Penske camp. No discredit to that 21, as they're just as capable of going out here and winning also, but I'm not going to go with the 21 this week. I think I got to go with the 22 because one of the best at fuel saving and fuel strategy is Joey Logano, and that Ford Mustang dark horse, no stranger to winning races, no stranger to winning championships. Give me the 22, man. I think he's going to get it done this
Excellent
weekend.
pick. Excellent pick. I mean, we've seen him, dare I say, steal a lot of races because of fuel strategy and being able to get more out of that car, by saving and fuel conservation. And, hats off go to his fuel filler, the fuelman on the 22 car, doing his job so Joey can then in turn do his and save, and their strategist. Yeah, excellent pick, Don. Ryan Penske's defending, Ryan Blaney from Penske is the defending race winner. I think the 12 would have been an easy pick too, because, he got his first career win here. He's got one last year. Just a great track for Penske as a whole. Love it. Can't wait for this weekend, man. It's going to be great. You'll be on a plane soon. Everybody listening at home, again, one more shout out to our sponsors this week. Lehigh Valley Grand Prix, thank you for coming on board. And also KK's Diecast community. Be on the lookout for all our promos with those two. And we look forward to bringing you all this fun content this week.
Absolutely, Ryan. Dude, it's going to be a special weekend. I cannot wait. I mean, we're talking about 16 hours, and you and I are going to be sharing a beverage at your where you relax and take it easy at your home. So I can't wait. I can't wait to leave Texas for a few days, head up there, get some great content for all of our fans and followers. Another huge shout out to Corey for hanging out with us. I know he's still recovering from his traveling there from Mexico City. Great job with him and his guys this weekend, but it's going to be a special, incredible weekend. I can't wait to live every second of it. To all of our fans and followers, thank you so much for always being with us. You guys are the reason this engine keeps turning. You guys are the reason that we do the things that we do. We love the sport, but we love bringing it to you guys now. So we're a part of it. We're in it. We're thick. We love it. We're all about it, man. I'm excited. I get chills talking about it right now, so I can't wait for this weekend to happen. But yeah, from everybody here at 5 Lug Racing, thank you so much for the continued support, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Y'all take care.